In this tutorial, I'll walk you through the process of creating the Shepard Fairey-like self-portrait. You see in the instructions from the website on the left side of my screen to create this sort of Shepard Fairey-like self-portrait. It does give the step-by-step instructions, but sometimes they're a little confusing, and I think that I found that there are some places where a few of the steps can be combined to be a little bit more efficient. And some of those notes I've placed on our class website here and in the different steps. And some of those don't show up until, say, we get to Illustrator, which is part 2. So we will be starting here in Photoshop to do some image processing, and then we'll move to Illustrator. So I have Photoshop here open. I've got a selfie that I took using my iPhone. And in Photoshop, let's see, the first thing we want to do is crop the image so that we have the proper proportions that we want our final art to be. And I'll open up the instructions here and make sure that's on, we can see that on the left side of my screen. So I think we should go for 1920 by 2160 pixel size. So that's what I'm going to do. And I already had my crop tool set up to do that when I hit C for the crop tool in Photoshop. And what I've done is I pick the width times height times resolution option and entered in 1920 px and 2160 px for pixels. Be sure you enter 1920 px by 2160 px. And this is pretty good here, this crop. Oops. So I'll go ahead and double click, and there we go. Now for steps 3 through 6 of the tutorial instructions, I'm going to be using layers in Photoshop to organize all of the work there. On step 3, the instructions say to posterize the image. So what I'm going to do first, though, I'm going to duplicate this layer already, right? Just to keep a sort of a backup, and I'm going to call it Posterize. And actually, I'll do this. I'll say step 3, Posterize. So it corresponds to our instructions there. Okay, I'll go ahead and hide the background. So now I only have Posterize here, and I'll do what it says in step 3 in the instructions, which is to posterize an image using going to Image, Adjustments, Posterize. So we'll do that. I'll go to Image, Adjustments, Posterize, and the suggested level is 5. I'll go with 7. So you guys might need to play around with this setting a little bit and do a few, maybe a few trials to see. Once we go through steps 4, 5, and 6, you'll kind of see the result. But I'm going to put it on 7. 5 might be good for you guys. Okay, so I'll okay that. So that one's been posterized. Step 4. We're going to do a bunch of threshold operations in Photoshop and save each one on a layer, different layer. Okay, so the first thing to do is make a copy, duplicate this the posterize layer, and I'm going to call this step 4 threshold pattern guide. Now we'll apply the threshold adjustment as shown in the instructions. So go to Image, Adjustments, Threshold. And what we're going to do is we're going to start sort of on the right side, close to the right side, and step by step move toward the left, repeating step 4 here. To get the kind of look that we're looking for there, I'm going to put the point between the peaks. So I'll start somewhere around, say, 158. And what I'm going to do also is I'm going to rename my layer here, say 158, just so I remember that was the setting, the threshold setting that I wanted. Step 5, though, I'm not going to save. I'm going to basically skip over step 5. I'll use the Photoshop layers to essentially take care of step 5. But so for step 6, then, if we move on, repeat step 4 3 more times. So we're going to end up with four layers, threshold layers, four threshold layers that look a little different using different threshold amounts. And what I'm going to do is create more, maybe more than I need. Right, so we're going to end up with 4 of these threshold layers in the end, but I'm going to create some more than I need just to be able to pick from them. Some might be a little more successful than others in this process. So I'll turn on all of those. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 layers here that I created. I'm only going to end up using 4 of them. So I've got some alternatives that I can use in case one or the other doesn't work. And in the tutorial step 5, he saved it after each time you do the threshold. But what I'm recommending again is that you do different layers like this. And so then we can actually save all of these kind of in one step. So if you just turn them all on, these layers, these threshold layers, and select all of those like that, select all the layers, and then right click, you can do quick export as PNG, and it'll export each one of those layers as a PNG. So I will make a new folder here. And if we check here, here are my 6 PNG files. So now we're ready to move on to Illustrator.